All right. So we're going to look at something called the law of sines. So we had solved right triangles before. The law of sines is going to help us if we don't have a right triangle. So we can use it to find sides and angles if we are given two angles in any side or two sides and an angle. And so this formula looks like sine of A over A equals sine of B over B and sine of C over C, where the capital letters are the angles and the small letters are the side lengths. Usually the capital letters go with the angles and the side lengths are the ones opposite. So B matches with B, A matches with A, C matches with C. All right. So find each missing measure, round to the nearest tenth. All right. So this goes with here. So sine of 104 over x is going to equal sine of 47 over 15. Now we can cross multiply. So I get x sine 47 equals 15 sine of 104. And then to solve for x, I can divide both sides by sine of 47. So 15 sine 104 divided by sine of 47 gives 19.9. Okay. Let's try this one. So sine of 42 over x. And I don't have this angle here, but I can find it because 180 minus 63 minus 42 gives me 75. So sine of 75 over 28. And then cross multiply. So x sine of 75 equals 28 sine of 42. We can divide both sides by sine of 75. So 28 sine 42 divided by sine of 75, which is 19.4. Right. So sine of 92 over 11 equals sine of 65 over x. So cross multiply 11 sine 65 equals x sine of 92. Divide both sides by sine of 92 to get 10. All right, to do this one, I need this angle. So 180 minus 32 minus 35. It's going to get 113. So sine of 113 over 14 equals sine of 35 over x. So x sine of 113 is 14 sine 35. Divide both sides by sine of 113. To get 8.7. All right. All right, now for a word problem. Pilot begins a flight traveling 80 miles northwest. To avoid a storm, he makes a turn and returns to his original location. A diagram of his flight course is shown to the left. Find the total distance of the flight. So, okay. We started here, went 80 miles, made a turn, and then it goes back to the starting point. So I need to add, basically I think it's the perimeter. Let's see, I could do sine of, I need this angle here. So 180 minus 108 minus 15. Gets me 57. So sine of 57 over 80 is sine of 108 over x. So x sine 57 is 80 sine 108. Divide both sides by sine of 57 to get x equals 90.7. So I'm going to make a list over here. 80 plus 90.7 plus the other distance I'm about to find. Sine of 15 over, let's do y, is sine of 57 over 80. So y sine 57 is 80 sine of 15. So y is 80 sine 15 divided by sine of 57, which is 24.7. So add that together and we get 195.4. Okay. We can find angles. And we possibly could have more than one solution. We could have none, or we could have one solution. So we just have to watch out. All right. So the sine function is always going to range between -1 and 1. So angles with a positive sine function will either be in quadrant 1 or 2. To find the other possible angles, we could subtract it from 180. The sum of the measure of the angles in a triangle are always going to be 180 degrees. And no triangle can have two obtuse angles. So information about triangle ABC is given below. Check your answers and give all possibilities. All right, so let's check. I have a triangle. A, B, C. So A is 60, AB is 30, BC is 27. Find angle C. All right, so let's see what we have here. Can do sine of 60 over 27 equals sine of x. No, let's call it C because it's the angle. Sine of C over 30. So I get 30 sine of 60 is 27 sine of C. So then I can divide both sides by 27. And then do the inverse. So I get that all right, so I get that C is 74.2, but potentially I could have another one. So another one could be 180 minus 74.2. So potentially I could also have 105.8. So you cannot have two obtuse angles. So what I can do is check to make sure that 60 plus both of these angles, so 74.2 and 60 plus 105.8, I just got to check to make sure that they're under 180. Let's see, 60 and 70 is 130 something, so that works. And 60 plus 105 is 165, so that's also 180, so that can work. So we have two answers, 105.8 and 74.2. All right. Let's look at another one. A, B, C. Angle C is 89, AC is 34, AB is 26. Find B. So sine of 89 over 26 is sine of B over 34. So 34 sine of 89. See, I guess I can just multiply both sides by 34 and not have to cross multiply and divide. So I can leave it like that. So let's see if I get that fraction out. That gets me 1.3075. And then I need to do the inverse sine. So inverse sine of, well, I'm going to do it anyway. 1.3075. My calculator is not giving me anything because sine can only be from -1 to 1, and 1.3075 is above 1. So this actually has no solution. All right, let's look at another one. So A, B, C. C is 102. AC is 21. AB is 24. We want to find B. So sine 102 over 24 is sine B over 21. I can multiply both sides by 21. So 21 sine 102 over 24 is sine of B. And let's see if I do that out. I get 0.8559. So it is between our -1 and 1. So now I need to do the inverse sine of that. So inverse sine of 0.8559 gives me 58.9 degrees. But I also need to subtract that from 180. 58.9. So I get 121.1 as well. And now I need to check. So does my 102 plus 58.9, is that less than 180? And my 102 plus 121.1, is that less than 180? So adding these two works out. Adding these two does not. So my only answer is the 58.9. Alright, do another one. So measure of angle, A, B, C. So B is 95. AC is 34, BC is 21, find A. So sine A over 21 is sine 95 over 34. So sine A, multiply both sides by 21, so 21 sine 95 over 34. Let's see what that gives me. So 21 sine of 95 divided by 34 gives me 0.6153. So now I have to do inverse sine of 0.6153, and I get 37.9, which let's round that up to 38. And then 180 minus 38 is 142. And now I'm gonna check the original, so 95 plus 38 and 95 plus 142. Is it less than 180? All right, and let's see, is that less than 180? So 95 and 38, yep, the 95 and 142 is greater than 180, so that's not gonna work. So 38 is the only one that's gonna work. So I'm gonna look at something. Okay. Let's do two more. So A, B, C. Angle C is 30, AC is 29, AB is 28. Find B. So sine of B over 29 is sine of 30 over 28. So sine of B is 29 sine 30 over 28. So let's see. 29 sine 30 divided by 28 gives me 0.5178. So then I can do the inverse of that, 0.5178, and I get 31.2. So let's do 180 minus 31.2, and I get 148.8. And now I'm gonna check. So 31.2 plus 30 is less than 180, so it works. And then 30 plus 148.8 is 178, so that's less than 180, so that works as well. So there's two answers. A, B, C. 125. BC is 24. AC is 21. Find C. Well, let's see. Sine of 125 over 21 equals, let's see, I'd have to find probably this angle first to get this side, or to match up with it, to be able to try to find the other one. Because I don't have the side here, so I can't just do it from there. But I can get this angle, subtract it from 180, and see what happens. So sine of A over 24. So 24 sine of 125 over 21 gives me sine of A. Now I gotta plug that in. So 24 sine of 125 divided by 21 gives me 0.9362. I do the inverse of 0.9362. So I get 69.4, and then 180 minus 69.4 is 110.6. Well, automatically, that's obtuse. You can't have two obtuse, so 110 is out. But 125 plus 69.4, 125 plus 69.4 gives me 194.4, and that's bigger than 180. So the 69.4 can't work either. So there's no angle C that will make this situation possible. So, all right.